The WP MRR WordPress podcast is brought to you by WP Buffs. WP Buffs manages WordPress websites 24/7 and powers digital growth for agencies, freelancers, and WordPress professionals. Join our white label program, and by next week, you could be offering 24/7 white label website support to your clients and passively growing your monthly recurring revenue. Or become a WP Buffs affiliate to earn 10% monthly payouts every month for the lifetime of every client. And finally, if you're looking to sell your WordPress business or website, check out the WP Buffs acquisition unit. Learn more about all three at WPBuffs.com.
Hey, WordPress people, welcome back to the WP MRR WordPress podcast live from Beach Press. I'm Joe.
I'm Darth Maul.
And you're listening to the WordPress Business Podcast. Whoa, Darth Maul on the podcast this week. The thing I always remember about Darth Maul is that Darth Maul got cut in half, so I'm glad what an amazing recovery you've had.
Well, normally I wouldn't be talking. I'd be strutting with the emo face, planning how to cut you in half, but we'll go with it.
Cool. So maybe someday we'll have actual Darth Maul on the podcast, but unfortunately not today, actual Darth Maul. But we do have Jennifer Bourn on the podcast, hanging out at Beach Press. It's funny that you chose Darth Maul of all the characters you could have chosen, because I remember we were talking at Chris's house the other day, and I was saying, I looked up your profile, and it says probably a Sith on your website, and I was like, oh my God, we've got a Sith warlord here.
Well, I'm a really nice person, but you don't want to cross me.
That's good to know. I think that's very important information to start the podcast off with. So Jennifer Bourn, she's the best, but you want to stay on her good side. So now people know. So we're off. That's a good place to start. Cool. And so JenniferBourn.com. I fucked up and I wrote Bourn with an E when I typed it out, but it's Jennifer BOURN.com. Building successful businesses is a lot of work, but it doesn't have to be difficult work. So it sounds like you're helping people be successful in business, but kind of find some of the things that makes it a little bit easier, maybe some of the learnings that you've had. But yeah, tell us about JenniferBourn.com and the stuff you're doing there.
I've been a designer for 20 years and run my agency, Bourn Creative, for 13. And in those years, I probably have made every mistake that you could possibly make. And I was like, I think most people, you start your business because you're good at what you do and you think that you could help a lot of people and you want to try something on your own, but you don't necessarily know how nobody gives you business training. Nobody tells you how to price things and package things and all of those things. And so the first several years I was in business, I just worked like a dog, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I was just constant. And I found myself saying, I started my business for more freedom, but I have less freedom. I just bought myself another job that had worse work-life balance, worse schedule. And, I luckily grew and learned and found systems and processes and strategies and surrounded myself with people that could help me learn the things I needed to learn to grow my business and increase my pricing and repackage my services and all of those things. And I went from working 16-hour days, 7 days a week to taking, 9 weeks of vacation a year and never working past 5 and never working on the weekends and, really, really enjoying life. And I think, I went from living to work to working to live. And it changed everything. I think when you really enjoy life while you're working, it reminds you why you're working, right? Why am I working so hard today? Oh, because of these other things we're going to do, or because of all the things that I enjoy and I'm fulfilled by in my life. And I noticed most of the really, really talented people that I knew that ran businesses or were freelancers or designers or developers or things like that were still in that struggle space of they're incredibly talented, but are working like crazy because they haven't created systems and processes, or they just haven't got the right tools or the, right information. And with a little tweak, they know what they're doing. They don't need help in the skill department, but the business side, with a few small tweaks, they could maybe not work nights. They could maybe finally start taking weekends off. They can go from never taking a vacation in the past 2 years to taking their first vacation with their family, and start making those meaningful changes to build a great business, but to enjoy life along the way.
Very cool. We have an episode coming out about how to take a 3-week hiatus from your business or take 3 weeks off from your business. I don't know when that'll be coming out compared to this episode, but probably before. So Christy and I have talked about this too and how important it is. A lot of people who are starting businesses and they're kind of like working full-time job, maybe they think they want to go do their own thing, they want to freelance, they want to start their own business. They think, I want to go from working whatever, this 40 or 50 hours a week. When I go do freelancing, like it'll be easy, right? I'll be working 20 hours a week, like I'll be at Beach Press. Yeah, like I'll be at Beach Press, like hanging out on the beach and like working for a couple hours a day. And maybe eventually you get there, but when you have that first jump off, you're actually probably working far more hours trying to get something off the ground. And by having something like you as someone like you as a resource, people can have the ability to accelerate some of that learning a little bit at the beginning. Because I think that that first year or 2 years is a real struggle. But it doesn't always have to be. I think there are some ways that you help people to do that. So on jenniferbourn.com, courses, right? Video courses?
Yeah. So I do it through, I deliver the courses through Zoom or through video. So it's video, downloads, handouts, worksheets, things like that. But yeah, all digital.
Cool. We just launched our first course at WPMRR.com, and I'm like a total course noob. But I think for me, I had a lot of challenges in not only building the course, but like launching it and drawing traffic to it and all that kind of stuff. How long have you been doing course things here?
Profitable project plan. So the first time I ran it was in late 2016. So I ran it late 2016, twice in 2017, twice in 2018, and now we're getting ready to open enrollment again.
Cool. So you open enrollment and then you close it. Right?
Yes.
Open twice a year?
Yep. So it's been live up until this point. After this time, though, it'll go evergreen. Yeah, so I think starting with it live allowed me to gather Q&A and questions and feedback and survey responses and tweak all the little things. So I really like starting live and getting that immediate feedback from students and that interaction and then going evergreen after that. And that's worked really, really well so far.
Yeah, a lot of people here have mentioned this book, Company of One, that they're reading. It's this new book. It's out by Paul Jarvis. He's the first person who I saw running courses, but closing it for most of the year and only opening it for like 1 week, twice a year, and having a ton of success with it. And I was like, I guess that's a thing you could do. So I'm starting to think that might be a better route. And I didn't even actually think about what you just said, which I think is really important. If you are open twice a year for a week, first of all, you get people kind of excited, like, it's open now. Like, I can't get it until 6 months from now. So there's an urgency to sign up. But even more than that, you have the other, 52 weeks of the year to get the feedback, to talk with people about how the course was, to focus on the people in the course who are taking the course at that time to get engagement. I feel like I'm kind of lost there right now. I have people, like new people signing up every week, and I'm just kind of like, they're all at different points. And I kind of wish they were a group together to do it. Did you find success kind of doing it with that previously, or when you started kind of doing it, having it open twice a year?
Yeah, I think the benefit to doing it that way, there's a few benefits. So one, everybody that's taking it is in the same path. They're at the same point. So all the questions that are coming in about that lesson or that module, all the questions are related to that. So you can gather feedback for that specific module or that specific lesson and apply that. So the next time you run it, there are less questions. And the next time you run it, there are less questions. So you continue to refine your content as you go. And that makes it, really, really easy. The other thing is opening enrollment at very specific times. So for us, it was twice a year. Also allowed us to get promotional partners and affiliate partners and things on board for a push over one period of time, all at one time. So if they had a whole marketing schedule for the year, they have their own things they're launching, their own things they were doing. This was, a one-time thing. So you could get people on, do a big push, and then move off. So I think some of that you have to look at, what do you want your promotions, to be? And the other two is payment plans. Like, do you offer pay in full? Do you offer payment plans? So while we only open enrollment twice a year up until this point, we do a 6-pay payment plan. Like most people are a 3-pay or a 2-pay, or they break it up, and I break it into 6 because the course is 14 weeks. So it runs a little longer than, 3 months, but the payment plan is longer and it stretches that cash flow baseline out because probably 80% of the people that purchase the course purchase through the payment plan. So that brings, even though the launch was once, the cash flow is still coming in every month for that. So even though it's not evergreen, it's still producing an income, every single month. So
I'm stealing that idea. I like that a lot. We don't do any kind of payment plans on our video course, and so WPMR is it feels like it's almost a side venture right now. A lot of my effort and time is going towards WP Buffs and running that business, and WPMR is kind of there. Like, if people want to do it, that's cool. Like, if you want to sign up, that's fine. I want people to sign up, but if people don't and it's not the right fit for them, that's fine. But I want to give people the financial option and flexibility too. And right now we just it's like an annual membership. But giving people the option for payment plans sounds like a really good way to give people a lower bar of entry so that they feel comfortable coming in right now. And it also allows you to bring in people who may be more towards the beginning of their journey, right? Like people who are man, $500 for a year, I have to pay $500 right now. Oh, or I could pay it $100 over 5 months. That sounds like a little more, beneficial for me. So cool. I dig that. I'm also on your website right now, and you've got the best pictures ever of yourself. Do you I feel like you have one of those energies when you walk into WordCamps, or people are just I gotta snap a picture here. She's just got that energy up on stage. Did you whoa, so good.
Totally by accident. I'm actually I have terrible pictures. I really need to hire a photographer to come and do it. But thank you. That's amazing.
At the WordCamps too. They're awesome. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the course you have out now. It's been out since, remind me again, end of 2017. So it's been 14 months, a year plus. Nice. And so this is one of the big things you do now.
End of 2016.
2016. Okay, so a little over 2 years then. Nice. How's the in terms of kind of general revenue and stuff for the video course? Is it somewhat comparable to some of the agency work you do? Because I know you have Bourn Creative and you do some agency work. Is this kind of still somewhat of a side income coming in and an additional revenue stream, or is it starting to kind of be one of the more central revenue streams for you?
It definitely started as a side income stream. Agency is totally bread and butter. Agency pays the mortgage, pays the bills, all of those. So it definitely started as a side thing. But we were going through some transition in our agency. So it's becoming a little bit more of a prominent role for me. I'm not stopping client work anytime soon. I really like it. I'm shifting my services a little bit with the agency. But revenue went from the first time I ran it, I think it was, I had 30 people in. The course is about $1,000, and we did various discounts and deals to do enrollment. But each time we run it, I have around 50 people in there, and so revenue is going. Each time it's more and more people enrolling, and revenue is going up and up, and more people are paying in full at the full rate, which is amazing. I think now that we've been doing it for enough time, the testimonials are coming in, and the people are seeing the results, and they're going through it, and they're experiencing the changes in their business, and it's proven. So I use the system. I created the system originally. Profitable Project Plan was something I created for myself in business because I wasn't ready to hire someone. I wasn't comfortable yet hiring someone, but I had too much work and not enough time, and I needed to automate systems in my business, or I was going to die. So I, created that system for our business. We ran it in our business for years, and Chris Lemma had invited me to talk at WordCamp LA about it once. And I came in, and the first time I talked about it at a WordCamp, afterwards it was, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. Can I buy that? Where can I buy that? Can I have that? Can we do it? And I'm like, no, this is my secret sauce, man. I made this for me. No, I'm not giving it to you. No, you can't. Are you crazy? But over the years, our agency shifted, and kind of the clients we were working with shifted, and my services are now shifting. And I kind of got to a point where I was like, this could really make a difference for somebody else. I've proven it using it with hundreds of clients since 2011 over and over. So it's proven successful for me. I'm sharing this course, sharing my system with other people could really make a difference in their business. And so I came to a point where I was like, okay, I want other people to use it. And now I'm seeing they're having the same kind of success with it that I had in my business, and being able to automate things and free up time to actually enjoy some of the free time they thought they'd have when they started their business.
That's really cool to hear. I think that it's it's hard to create successful systems and to do all that creative in agency. That in itself is a difficult process. It's another really difficult process to be able to teach that to someone else and help other people implement it in their business. So the fact that you've kind of feeling like you're figured out the transition, like you said, you're getting good testimonials, like people are really enjoying the course, or businesses are changing for the positive because of it, I think is much easier said than done. So I think kudos to you just for like hitting that milestone. I think a lot of courses don't quite reach that. I think our course is, I created it for the same reason as you did. I felt like a lot of people in the WordPress space are looking for ways to have predictable revenue, as opposed to like, this month was great, this month sucked, now how do I pay my mortgage this month? If you can kind of focus more on a subscription service, I think that can be beneficial to some people. Maybe not a good fit for everyone. Obviously, like there are a lot of successful agencies that do just, big custom development, and they are very successful. But to me, a small business can also focus on MRR, monthly recurring revenue. You have something to say.
I think too, when you talk about monthly recurring revenue, you can talk about, website support, right? Ongoing monthly website support. Everybody talks about that. You can talk about landing retainer clients. Everybody talks about that. But what's been really interesting with Profitable Project Plan is the response from the students on change orders. The amount of people that are like, I've never used change orders. Well, change orders are a way to add more bottom line revenue as you're moving through projects. You get the client in with the original contract, but then they want to add features. They want to add different things. And a lot of people get sucked into just, well, I'll do that and I'll add it and I won't charge you any extra. Or they undercharge and they do that. But change orders along the way are a really great way to continue to add more revenue to projects, to bring that in over time, to increase your relationship with clients. So I think it's just a different shift on looking at building in ongoing recurring revenue and bumping up the investment that clients are making with you.
That's funny you say that. Steve was just talking about that upstairs, about how the best thing he can do when he has a client and they have a new project is to raise his hand as quickly as possible when he sees things that are outside of scope, and to bring it up as quickly as possible and give the client the option to say okay, what are we going to do about this? And he said his superpower is he feels like he can make it seem like it was a client's idea, which I think is a lot of things that beginners don't quite get yet, but develop as they kind of go along. But that's kind of it's a nice shift in perspective to say I have this idea, here's what we should do. Instead it's maybe a little counterintuitive, but you kind of want to get the client, you want to give the client 1 + 1, you don't want to give them 2, get them to the point where they're starting to follow your track and then suggest the ideas on themselves. But yeah, I think that's right. And if you can find a way to, especially if you're doing agency work, to get a project in the door for X amount, and you can, I don't know if upsell is the right word. You said it better, to change a change order for people. It allows you, and if you can increase the price at which you're working on, and you can add more value, that's the best case scenario, because now you're kind of moving up market a little bit. So instead of a $5,000 project for X value, you have a $10,000 project for 2 times the value, or maybe you have a $20,000 project for 6 times the value. So I think that's a big place where people can move. So yeah, really cool idea. In April, you have a new course coming out. So tell us about that. What's going on?
So the next course is called Lucrative Leads. Profitable Project Plan walks you through everything from the sales call through post-launch follow-up from a client management perspective for a WordPress project. So Lucrative Leads is a precursor to that. What I noticed when I was running students through Profitable Project Plan, it starts with the sales call. So I was getting a lot of questions of, well, how do you get a client to the sales call, right? I need more clients, right? So the natural next course was on lead generation. So that course walks people through, it starts at the very foundation of what kind of client do you want? What is the kind of client you want to attract? What's the kind of work that you want to attract? What kind of projects do you want to get? Building that foundation into your website so that when someone gets to your website, they move down that path to fill out your project inquiry form. Because you can't start with just lead generation tactics, because if you do that, you're going to invest a bunch of money in lead generation. They're going to get to your website, and if they don't convert, what was the point? Right? So it moves through identifying kind of the ideal client, the ideal project, getting that foundation in with your website, building in a inquiry form that segments your leads and a system to manage your leads so you're not overwhelmed doing that. You're not spending a ton of admin time doing that. And then moves into online and offline lead generation tactics for your business.
I love that. One reason I really love it is because it's you have one course going from sales to product launch, and then from that you got feedback from that, and people needed something else. So you said, okay, now I have a second product that comes as a precursor to that, and those two courses can now work in tandem. So when people finish one course, they buy the other course, which in itself is kind of it's a way to add a lot of value to people. Now I can take you through the whole process of it. It's just, you pay for both the courses, which is really cool. I would love to hear a little bit more about, from your experience, like what are people's biggest challenges? Let's start with the more recent one we're talking about, which is lucrative leads. Like, where do people struggle the most in that area? Is it like actually like trying to gather email addresses? Is it trying to drive traffic to their website? Is it kind of all of the above? Is there like one surprising thing that you find kind of a lot of people feel like they're struggling with?
I think that most people drastically overestimate how much traffic they're getting to their website. Yes. So they think, oh, my website's not converting. I need to get, and this is in general across industries. My website's not converting. I'm not getting enough leads coming in. I need to redesign my website. But I think if you dig a lot deeper, it's the traffic problem, not necessarily a website problem a lot of the time. Or the issues with the website can be fixed usually fairly simply with content and things like that. We get a lot of people, especially through our agency over the years too, that came in wanting a whole redesign, and we're talking them out of it, saying you really need to be spending your money on traffic. So where we find that most people struggle is effectively talking about what it is that they do in a compelling way. So the person they're talking to says, that's what I need. That's what I'm looking for. I'm a good fit for that. So they self-select or self-identify as an ideal client and say, how do I learn more? What is the next step? So most people don't have that comfort talking about what it is that they do. They don't have clarity about how to phrase their message so that people self-select or self-identify. And because they don't have that, they go to networking events or they go to conferences and people ask them, what do you do? And they flounder. Or how many times have you walked away and you're like, dang it, I should have said this, or I wish I said that, or why didn't I say this? Or they default to like, I'm a designer, oh, I'm a developer. And that doesn't really interest, everybody knows somebody who does that. So they really, I think once you get clarity on how to talk about what you do and what your message is and what the benefits and the risks are, like a lot of people never think about what's the risk someone takes if they say no. What do they risk if they don't take action, right? Once you know those things, you can show up and really powerfully talk about what you do and the value do you deliver and the benefits people experience when they work with you. And those are the things that emotionally connect with people. And those are the things that get them to fill out that inquiry form and say, I want to work with you. Let's talk.
I think what you said is so important. Just about copywriting in general. I think a lot of people have this idea, I have to have this really beautiful website, I have to have this like UI that's just so incredible. It's like the user experience has to be phenomenal or no one's going to convert. And people, I think often, especially when they're starting off, or even if they're like pretty far along, copywriting is not something that they focus on very much. And I think that no matter what industry you're in, like the people who are going to buy what you have, whether it's a service or a product, they're going to read your copy, right? Like I feel like that's a pretty easy assumption to make. A lot of people scroll and maybe don't read everything, but the big banners, like in the big areas, people read in that F shape, right? Like they're going to read the basics. And if you don't catch their attention right there, then you're going to lose them. So I think that that's something before, like you mentioned, like talking people out of doing redesigns, people need to get the basics done first. And if you can get to the point where you kind of have a base conversion rate, even if it's low, and you can say like, what's the actual problem here? Because if it's a simple copy change, I've talked to people in the WordPress space who've been like, I just changed a copy on my top of my homepage and like my conversion doubled and like my lead generation doubled. It's like, yes, because some people like the copy on the right top of their website. It's like, it's something, if you're working in enterprise, you have a little more leeway because you can have this solution, blah, blah, blah. But like, most companies should probably just have like, here's what we do, like here's the customer we work with, or here's the problem you have, here's how we fix it. free demo, see pricing, contact us, whatever it is, some call to action. Those are just the basics people have. So I think copywriting has a big place to play in the future. Did you want to talk more about copywriting stuff potentially?
I'm actually transitioning all my services over to content. So nice segue there. Yeah, we've been a design and development agency for 13 years, but over the last few years, I've been doing more and more work with content. The last several sites we've launched, I've done all the copywriting for as well, and I've been doing ghost writing for blogs, for client blogs and things like that. So I've really, really enjoyed the content work I've done over the last year and a half or so. And my business partner, who is also my husband, moved on and took a job with another agency in business development. And it was the perfect opportunity to kind of shift my focus a little bit to work more in the content arena. And as a designer who's, I've been working in web design and graphic design for 20 years, and I worked at a PR firm before that and a publishing agency before that. But 13 years as an agency owner, I'm like, I got this agency thing down. So I'm uniquely qualified to create content for other agencies. So I'm looking at copywriting, ghost blogging, and then also support around case studies and portfolio updates. So working with and partnering with other agencies to help them keep their case studies, their portfolios up, keeping the tools, keeping the site current. You're always the cobbler's kid has no shoes or whatever. You as the website, designer, the developer, the agency, your website's usually at least a couple years out of date. When's the last time you put your last project up there? How current is your portfolio? And then you get an opportunity to create, to pitch a big client, and you're like, yes. And they ask for case studies.
Shit.
And you're like, damn it. Yeah, or you have a hosting partnership and they're like, hey, we're doing this whole thing. By the way, we need 3 PDF case studies. And you're like, damn it. I don't have that. So developing content, around that and some different things. So I'm working on repurposing my services right now, and hopefully we'll have that done in a couple weeks. But content is a huge struggle for people. People, they second guess it. They're not sure on the wording, the grammar, the time, the planning, the research, going into it, figuring out what the topic should be. All of it is really a struggle for I think every site owner across the board. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. But content is, I would argue, the most important part of the entire thing. Because that's why you see terrible websites ranking very highly in search. That's why a site that's uglier than yours might outrank you, because their content is better or is, done differently. So I'm a really, really big believer in content, especially in content that tells stories and success stories and case studies and, client success stories and things like that. So I focus a lot on Profitable Project Plan is all content. So all the content I created in my business, all the emails I use with clients, all the ebooks I created with clients, it's included in Profitable Project Plan. You don't have to do any of it yourself. So there's over 50 of them all in the process. Lucrative Leads is the same. But instead of done for you, it's worksheets and formulas to fill in to help you write your content, your marketing message, your benefit statement, your risk statements, your service descriptions, the emails to clients if you're doing outreach, whatever it might be. So I'm a big believer. I'm like, don't recreate the wheel. If somebody else has got one that works, if you got a formula, you can fill in the blanks, Mad Lib that shit and put it in your business and move on. So yeah.
WordPress, open source, you take it, you tweak it. It sounds good. I love to hear you telling the story of transitioning after 13 years of an agency to doing something new, because I feel like a lot of people get into this thing and they're like, this is it. Like, I'm an entrepreneur now. Like, I have my own freelance. Like, this is what I'm going to be doing. Like, stop. Don't be so, people who are listening, it could all change very quickly. And after 13 years, but I would love to dig into that a little bit more. Is it scary right now? Are you a little bit scared? What's going through your head in terms of, because 13 years is I can't even, what was I doing 13 years ago? I don't even know. To me, that's a lifetime, right? So, are you kind of this is a brand new thing? What's going to happen? Are you kind of feeling kind of confident? What's kind of going through your head?
All the things, all the emotions. No, I think it's been coming for a long time. Probably about a year or so, that both of us kind of sat down at one point and looked at each other, and I was like, we have to look at, our kids, 6 years, and both my kids will be out of the house. They'll be off in college, and we're kind of looking to the future. And Brian had said, I don't want to be writing code in 6 years. And I'm like, I don't want to be designing websites in 6 years. So let's talk about this. And I think, and with the way that WordPress is moving, and with the way that it's advancing, and with Gutenberg and these things, like if you want to continue to, run a successful agency, if you want to continue to keep landing projects, and you want to do this, you have to advance your skills. You're going to have to move forward. You're going to have to learn new things. You're going to have to learn React. You're going to have to do this. And Brian was looking at it and saying, none of that is exciting to me. Right? Like, I think it's time to make, a shift, but we weren't quite sure how we were going to do that. And I was doing more and more content and less web design. And our work was separating a little bit, because for years it was, I design the website, Brian builds the website. I design the website, Brian builds the website. But over the last year or so, our work has, kind of diverged a little bit, and we weren't quite sure. And I went to Cabo Press, hands down, one of my favorite business events ever of all times. Like, we'll never miss it. So I went to Cabo Press, and, we're talking through things, and I kind of came to this realization of, I think I'm okay being done with Bourn Creative as it is, right? Like, I'm okay. My identity was so wrapped up in that. Like, I founded that company and worked, it was mine for 5 years by myself. And it was my identity. Like, I am Bourn Creative. Yeah. And it was, there was so much that I was emotionally tied to that brand. And I never thought I'd get to the point where I was like, I think I'm okay having that not be my thing, because the business had transitioned to being so much more development heavy. And I was like, I'm at the point where Brian, this is your business now. Like, Bourn Creative is your baby. I'll step in if you need design support, but like, I'm okay letting it go. And Brian wasn't really looking for a job. Like, he wasn't looking to go do something different. But he's been friends with Jake Goldman for a really long time, and Jake's been trying to get Brian for a while, but it's never been the right role. It's never been kind of the right time. And this came really fast. We had a conversation in Thanksgiving right before our road trip. They had a conversation, and Brian's like, this actually sounds like it would be awesome. And we went on the road trip, and we kind of talked about it all through the road trip. Like, could we do this? What would it look like? What it would mean for our family? Like, you do all the kid carpool, like you do all the stuff. What is that transition going to look like? And we kind of ran through it all and came back, and all the details worked out in January. January 7th was his first day. So that all happened really fast. But Brian's like, well, if I'm doing this, Bourn Creative is yours again. And I was like, no, I kind of made peace that I was going to be done. What are you talking about? I kind of don't want it back. Yeah, I was like, I kind of don't want it back. So I had to look at what was the work that filled me up the most over the last year or 18 months, right? What did I like doing? What were the projects that I liked doing the most, the clients I liked doing most? And I found that the majority of it was all content-driven or design-driven around content. So writing an ebook and laying it all out for the client, like writing, a brochure and laying that all out for the client, or developing, portfolio pieces for the client, doing all of those things. And I realized, I can keep this company. I'm just going to shift my services, right? I'm just going to shift and transition. So this month is really messy. We're in the process of closing down some stuff with Bourn Creative, referring some clients elsewhere. We're keeping some clients. Some clients are going with Brian. Our schedules are messy because we're getting used to him having meetings and traveling and us not working together and not having the same schedule and not being able to go to lunch all the time because he's busy. Or him wanting to go to lunch, but he took a shower and got dressed. This is all fancy because he had video calls and I hadn't taken a shower and I'm not fancy. And I'm like, I don't want to go to lunch with you looking like a slob when you look like that, which are things we never really thought about, but we're going to lunch less because I'm like, maybe I need to up my game. Maybe I need to get dressed and shower more often now. But those little funny things, right? So It's been a little stressful for the kids. So every night we're like short-term sacrifice, long-term gain. Like new job, new schedule, new rules, like new things. But it should all even out. The beginning is always hard when you're learning a new role and you're learning a new business and you're learning new rules and you're learning a new job. So there's the doing of the job, then there's all the learning that comes along with it. But the most important thing is he's having a really good time. I'm really excited about the transition and new opportunities for myself and getting to work with some friends on their sites and their projects and getting to work with some other agencies that I really, really respect. So I think transition's always messy, but I think as long as you kind of, plan for it as much as you can, but also give yourself grace and know that it's okay if it's messy, right? Like it's okay if you have bad days or long days, or there's days where you got up at 6 and you're still working at 10 p.m. As long as it's temporary, right? As long as you know it's not forever, right? You got to get it done and put in the work, but eventually it's all going to kind of, flatten out and even out. But yeah, this isn't our first rodeo with transition, though. This is we've gone through it a couple times. This is not new territory for us. So Brian's gone through a couple. Like he was a fire captain at the City of West Sacramento Fire Department for 15 years before he became a developer. So leaving a job with a pension and a defined salary and all of the benefits and everything that comes along with that to be a self-employed developer in WordPress was a really, really big shift for us. So the transition for us isn't a new thing. We've done it before. We're navigating it again, but I think what you said about, moving through transition, that it's easy to get stuck on, I'm this thing, or I'm this person or this identity. I never thought I would ever say, I'm okay that Bourn Creative isn't my identity, or I'm okay to move on. Like never in a million years would I think that Brian would go take a job. And, we never thought that would happen. But I think you always also need to be open to opportunities that come your way and open to change and open to at least have that conversation and see what it's going to look like and see if it's going to be a fit. Because you can always say, actually, you know what? I don't think that's a fit. Or actually, you know what? This isn't the right time. But I think you owe it to yourself to explore those opportunities.
Well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. I really love talking to people in the WordPress space who have families and have kids, and because I have no kids at home, so there's nothing to make me feel like, man, my life's easy running a business than talking to people who also have a second job, which is having a family, and it's nice for me to be able to talk to people just so I can also touch base with them and be like, so like, what's your life like what do I have to expect, like what is, and I know that doesn't totally help because once it happens, like it's all you figuring it out. Like I know that much, there's but just hearing from other people, and honestly, like knowing that it's possible is a big plus, because as someone who doesn't have a family yet or doesn't have kids yet, the idea of trying to do both is very intimidating, but it's clearly possible because people have been successful with it in the past. Yeah, you have some Rugrats at home. Who are they?
Yep, I've got 2 kids. Carter's 12, almost 13. Natalie's 15. So I started Bourn Creative when I was pregnant with Carter. So I started it when he was still in my tummy. So he hasn't ever known any different. We've always had that. But I think for us, one of the things with our kids is they've always been involved in the business planning of our business, even when they were little toddlers, just not like they are now. So when they were really little, it was, hey, we are going to have a really busy month. Mommy and Daddy are going to work a lot, but at the end, we're going to Disneyland. Like, if you can be really good, like, help us out. So we'd always, our big thing was teach them, we're going to work really, really hard, and then we have this fun payoff. We're going to work really hard, and we have this fun payoff. We're going to work hard. We need you to work hard at being good, right? And then as they got older, it was more, we just signed this contract. This is what it means for us for the next few weeks or for the next time, or this is what it means. And, so we've always kind of kept them involved in the conversation about the business, because it does impact our life so much, and it does impact what we're doing. So they're very well aware of, the contracts we sign, the work that we're doing, the amount of, the deadlines that we have. And we've always approached it as, we have our job, we do do our work. You have your job. That's school. You do your work. We're responsible for getting our work done. And if we miss our deadlines, our clients are going to get mad at you. You're responsible for getting your work done. If you miss your deadlines, your teachers are going to get mad at you. And so we're trying to kind of teach them those same skills. But life is fun. They are super fun. They are why we take as much vacation as we do, because we want to spend as much time with them as we can, because they're getting older and older, and then I don't even know. But yeah, it's been fun watching as Natalie's gotten older. She started a blog, and she blogs. She has, yes, of course, she has. You're out of the family. Brian made her start at WordPress.com. He's like, go to WordPress.com. You can sign up for a free blog. You can start there. If you stick with it and prove that you're actually going to do it, then we'll design a blog for you. So she did. She started it at WordPress.com for free. She stuck with it for, I think he said you have to stick with it for like a year. So she stuck with it. So, well, she's in high school, so it's whatever. Positive, motivational things. And she writes about adventures we go on and vacations and different things that she's doing and stuff like that. But yeah, so then we built her a custom blog because she proved that she could do it. And this last year in 2018, she spoke at her first WordCamp. She spoke at WordCamp San Diego, and she gave a talk on the fears that she had of starting a blog and how she got over them and finding her voice and getting comfortable with blogging. And she did a great job, and she spoke in the beginner track at WordCamp Sacramento. So my son's like, could care less, and is like, no way, I don't want anything to do with that. But he's interested in software, in code, and in development. So he's, starting to take some classes and learn how to write code. So I don't know what he'll do with that, but we're excited to kind of see them grow up and have seen what we've done and been inspired by that and want to try something for themselves as well.
I think that's a fantastic place to end on a very bright note. I love what you said about involving your kids in the business. I think that's something that it's like a teaching moment for everybody, many teaching moments for the whole family, and kind of keeps everyone on the same page. To me, that's a big thing I took away from that part of the conversation. Is just like it doesn't just have to be us, or my business life versus the family life. It can come and kind of meld together in one, and we can all kind of push forward together. So on that note, let's wrap it up. I always ask people who are guests to tell our audience where they can find you. So what are the websites? Are you on Twitter? That kind of stuff?
JenniferBourn.com. Obviously, that's the best place. No E, Bourn. Not like the movies, not like the books. Yes. So JenniferBourn.com is the main. I have a family and adventure blog called Inspired Imperfection, so you can always find me there as well. And on social, I'm at Jennifer Bourn on everything except Instagram. I'm at Jen Bourn because I'm a late adopter. I only did it to babysit my daughter, but then I really liked it. So that's it.
Nice. All right, last thing for you to do here on the podcast. I always ask the guests to ask our audience and people for iTunes reviews because they get really tired of hearing it from me. So I always ask the guests to ask for it instead. So you're up. We need to get a lot of iTunes reviews, so I need you to ask people.
If you found value in this podcast, if you find value in any of the episodes that you've listened to, do us a favor and head over to iTunes and leave a review. 5 stars, please. Yes, leave a 5-star review. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Make sure it's positive, please. No, I'm kidding. Oh, yeah. Leave us an emoji. Go for it. 5-star review, comment, make it positive, leave an emoji. We'll be your best friend forever. Thanks.
And if you like this episode specifically, because you're like, Jennifer's awesome and Bourn Creative's awesome, please add that to the comments as well. We'll shoot it to her and say like, hey, people love this episode. If you have any further questions, you can email us in at yo@wpmrr.com. We answer questions frequently on the pod, so shoot yours in and we'll get them answered. I think that's it. Jennifer, we're good. We're going to get back to Beach Press, but thank you for jumping on. This has been fun.
Thanks for having me.